Hello. Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Working hard.
Come again?
I said I'm working hard.
I see that. Look at you.
I know.
You got your tea?
I do.
What kind of tea are you drinking?
It is honey bush, South African nectar.
Interesting.
Keeping with the honey, with the theme of the book. So
I like it. I like it. That's an herbal, isn't it?
yes,
I think it's a...
it is.
I feel like I've seen that somewhere recently. I don't remember where. It was probably on that website where I found this tea that I've got.
Probably. What are you drinking? The Starbucks secret?
So it's not from Starbucks, but
Okay.
so it, you know how like in the book 𝗍𝗰𝗸 orders the honey stardust? Yeah. So I found online, there's a place that it's called the 𝗡𝗶𝗰𝗸 Co. That put together a blend inspired by the book.
Nice.
And it's as close as they could get it to what 𝗍𝗯𝗑 orders. So you just have to add the honey and the splash of milk or cream or whatever you want. It's pretty good.
Does it come with a code? Mirabelle's drink came with a code.
Let me look. Hang on. No. Or we could have like a secret decoder ring. Drink more Ovaltine. I don't know. But I'm drinking it out of my my Mary Poppins mug that I got from Disney World. So it's like a cauldron style.
I see
but
that.
It's got like her you know, from the top of her umbrella.
Yes. We just watched Mary Poppins not too long ago.
The original or one of the redos?
The original, of course.
I like the new ones too. I like them all.
I do too, and I like Emily Blunt. I like
Emily, yeah. She's just very good as Mary Poppins, I think. She did a really good job. So we'll see if I want to give it a few more minutes here and see if some more people pop on.
Okay.
Looks like Cindy is on. Say hi, Cindy. I don't know. I've got a message here at the bottom of my screen saying that Instagram is trying out a simpler version of live and temporarily turned off a few features. I don't know what those features are. So yeah, I don't know. Like I can't see when people get on other than by looking up in the top right-hand corner. So I don't know.
Me, it's showing up at the bottom. People that are joining. Tender Warm Creation said, hi guys. Scrap.
Hi, Laura.
I see them from the bottom of my
screen.
screen.
I get none of that. I'm not seeing any of them. That's not good. All right. Well, you are officially on comment duty because I can't see any of it.
I can do that. Hi guys.
So Brikena has hopped on with us before. She's been a silent participant. This is her first time co-hosting, but she's been sitting in on several too, just like Cindy has. So I'm sure you've seen Cindy popping around. But yeah, so I don't have the book because I borrowed it from the library and I already had to turn it back in. But by Erin Morgenstern. And I'm actually pretty excited to talk about this because, and there's just so much there because holy cow, that was the longest book I have read in a very long time.
Tender Warm Creations says some people are having trouble looking at their comments, I heard. And then Scrap Collector says I'm watching on my phone and the comments are scrolling. Same thing with me. That's how my phone is working at the moment.
Yeah, it's weird. The bottom half of mine, and I don't know if this is because I started it or what, but the bottom half of mine has like 3 dots that tell me I can turn off commenting or turn off requests to go live or turn off questions. Apparently questions is a thing now. That's a new feature, it looks like, for this thing that they're testing out. But there's no questions yet. I don't know if anybody has like the newer version that they're testing out. They have like a question box at the bottom. I don't know.
comment one.
I can invite people to join. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. This is very weird to me. Like, I have no access to comments. So yeah. So yeah, Brikena, you are definitely on comment duty.
Okay, I can do that.
All right. So before we jump into anything with the book quite yet, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell people where you're from, what you do, what you like prefer to craft with, and what all that. Tell us about Brikena.
Okay, I think I know her pretty good. I
So
am
Brikena's a smart aleck.
born in Albania, which is north of Greece. I moved here 20 years ago. So at this point, I've lived here longer than I've lived there. Professionally, I'm a medical technologist, and I like pinning on Pinterest more than anything. That's my favorite craft.
I love it. My favorite hobby is pinning things on Pinterest that I never end up doing.
I tend to, my mom is a very good knitter and crocheter. I'm not as good as her. She's always kind of discouraged me from that. But now that she's like, hey, see what I made for your daughter. And I'm like, see, I could have made that if you would have taught me.
Why did she discourage you?
Because studying was more important. There was no time for that. And I'm pretty good at making scarves. I started making one for my daughter. She likes soft things. And I also like it because if I make a mistake, nobody can tell. It's so fuzzy. So that's where the stage we're at right now with my crafting skills. But I like languages is more my thing. When pandemic hit, everybody started baking breads. I started learning Spanish with Duolingo. It's been over a year now because Duo keeps track, and Duo is kind of threatening if 24 hours go by and you don't open the app.
Hey, I noticed you've not been here. You need to keep practicing.
Exactly, and sometimes that owl can get scary. So just like the Owl King, hey. So it's fun. It's fun. I do enjoy that. It started as just through music, listening to songs, and it got into, hey, what does that mean? And then I found out about Duolingo from a neighbor, and here I am.
Nice. I like it. I picked up Duolingo to try and learn like some languages and stuff. Like back when I thought I was going to be going to my cousin's wedding in Italy, I thought, and this is like all pre-pandemic, I thought, I should brush up and learn some Italian before I go over there.
Yes.
And then COVID hit and their wedding got delayed and all hell broke loose basically. So nothing happened on that front. And I kind of just let it go by the wayside. I haven't done anything more, but I think that's really cool. I love that you can pick up languages like that.
That's my thing. That's like you crocheting.
I like it. So are you able to like hold conversation with somebody with a Spanish speaker?
I am better at understanding what you're saying. We did go to Mexico this past summer, and I was able to ask for directions and actually follow them and end up where I wanted to go.
Hey, that's always a good thing.
It is. I felt like initially it was a little bit of a shock because they were talking a lot faster than Duo does when you're trying to language. But I figured it out. We ended up where we wanted to, and I tease my husband. I say, hey, I need more practice, so we got to go.
Sorry, babe. We got to go down for another vacation because I need to practice.
Spain would be better because it's a different kind of dialect. So let's
Sure.
everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
I think that's really cool, though, Brikena.
It is Shakira's fault. It is. It started with her Pandora station, and here we are now. All of the South American countries.
I like it. So do you know any other languages besides Spanish, Albanian, and English? And some Italian? You know some Italian?
Yes.
Very cool.
I do.
So I imagine that Spanish is probably a little easier to pick up simply because they're both Latin-based.
Yes. Especially in writing, but it does confuse me because some rules are different, and I want to go with Italian, and I get marked wrong, and it's like, okay, well, if this was a conversation, I'm pretty sure they would understand what I'm trying to say. But yes,
right.
Let's learn the correct version.
You can fumble your way through. Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
we went to Paris, and this has been, years ago. But you know, I took Spanish for a few years in high school, and I had a pretty passable, you know, conversational grip on it.
Yeah.
That, of course, is no longer, don't even try. I haven't used it in so long, I won't remember any of it. But we went to Paris, and I had started to, you know, study up on some French, just basic, you know, be able to get directions and ask where the bathroom is kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every time I went to go say something, I kept getting my verbs switched. So I kept speaking French. It was like a big old mess.
Yes.
They just laughed at me too.
I can see that, yeah.
Stupid American.
Well,
okay. So I started kind of doing this when we had author 𝗡𝗲𝘅𝘁𝗵 Joshi on, and I kind of liked it, so I'm sticking with it. And we're going to play a little bit of this or that.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to give you two choices. You do not get time to think about it.
Okay.
Ooh. So you just want to answer as quickly as you can. This is something fun. Okay. You ready? Because I'm not. Okay. Hang on. All right. Audiobook or physical book?
Both. Is that no? Okay. Audio. I just ordered my own Christmas gift, and I got the AirPods, so it's definitely going to be audio.
It's on like Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
All right. When you're working with yarn, do you prefer the center pole or the outside pole?
The one that's ready to go.
Where's it coming from? Is it coming from inside the skein or outside of it?
Outside.
There you go. All right. Would you rather read on the beach or by the fire?
On the beach.
Preferably speaking Spanish and asking for cerveza, por favor, right?
Sí.
Yeah.
Una margarita.
See, that much Spanish I still got. All right. World building or character development?
Character development.
Okay. Happy ending or unresolved?
Happy ending or an ending. I don't want unresolved. No, that's too much.
Okay. Let's see. All right. Last one. Bookmark or dog-eared pages?
Bookmark. I have a pretty one from Target.
I try to be good about using a bookmark. But if I'm using if I'm reading one of those mass market paperbacks, you know, like the ones that are like basically palm size.
Yes.
And I own it, I am really bad. I'll dog-ear the pages every time. But if it's a nicer book, I won't do it.
I don't do it at all.
Bad, Kristen. Bad. Okay. So let's get into, oh, wait. Ooh, I have a question.
Okay.
Sarah says she has the question box. Yay.
Oh, cool.
Everyone watching will get to see it on, oh, trap pawn a question to answer. Everyone, okay, let's try it. I'm going to let you be like the guinea pig here. Okay, so do I get to like, all right, so I guess then I just, if that was an actual question, I would just respond and say, I don't know. That's really cool. I'm glad I'm not the only one with like this weird new version or whatever this is. So do you see her question on your screen that says, I have the question box?
Yes, it comes, scrolls just like the comments do, but it says question on top.
Okay, are there any comments or anything we need to catch up on before we get into the...
I don't think so.
Okay. No. I've got these like weird notifications at the bottom of my, like half of your screen on my phone here is covered in notifications from Instagram. Thanks, IG. Okay. So the Starless Sea is what we're here to talk about. And yeah, so in case there's anybody watching that has not read this book yet, basically you have he's a grad student, I believe, working on his master's in college. And he, in Vermont, stumbles upon, when he's a kid, he stumbles upon a painted door. Okay, no, wait, back up. So when he's at college, he goes into the libraries, like looking for books to kind of distract him and escape into, basically. And he finds a book, starts reading it, and gets to a short, and it's like a book of short stories, that when he gets to one short story, he's reading it and realizes that it's about him. And the last line of that short story, talking about a painted door that he never went through to this, and this amazing, book-centric utopia, to use the book's words, are like it says not yet. So he then goes on the search of trying to find it, gain entry to it, and immerse himself in it. We have comments?
BRR230 just joined.
Hey, Blanche. I can't see comments apparently, so Brikena's on comment duty. Yeah, apparently there's some new version of Instagram, so bear with me. They're always changing something. I think last time they got rid of IGTV, and now it's just like the live, like the videos. I don't even know. Anyways, okay. So basically, Zachary meets these people that basically get him to what we call the Starless Sea, which is this underground labyrinth of a library, sort of, but it's like magical and all kinds of stuff. But it's not exactly what he was hoping for based on what he'd read. And so we find out that that's kind of the entire point of the story. So, excuse me. So this is what I would, it's obviously fiction. I always get really confused. Like, is this fantasy or is it magical realism? Because like fantasy is when they develop a whole new world, which essentially she did, but magical realism is like taking the everyday and making it magical, which is also what she did. Like, I don't know if this counts as one or the other, so I don't know. She did definitely do that with all the characters, but I would say it's more fantasy. Just because of not only detailed
the details, but that the characteristics that she gave to the other world that she created,
right?
Real life. So I guess she was not bound by just one thing. She developed her world. I feel like she's really good about, even in her other book, Midnight Circus. Yeah, she's really good about just whatever her mind can come up with. She tries to build that world for us. So
it definitely falls more into the fantasy realm, I think.
Tender Warm Creations said that she loves your mug. Your Mary Poppins mug.
Oh, thanks. I got it at Disney World several years ago. I just love that the handle is what got me, because it, like the umbrella head. Anyway, yeah. Thank you. Okay, so what was your first reaction when you finished this book?
It kind of ties with the questions that you gave me. I wanted a more defined ending because it kind of left me with a lot of questions, and I'm not good at that. Or I feel like I didn't have all the means to come to a good conclusion with what she had in mind. Maybe I'm completely off mark with what I don't even know what happened to Kat. Yes,
Yeah, no, that's totally open-ended, I think.
Yes,
but
she went to.
We're not going to get to that yet. We're not getting to that yet because we're not doing spoilers yet. So, beep. Okay. So my first. What'd you say?
I said I did not like that it was so open-ended, that it was left up to me.
Yeah, I get that. My first reaction was like kind of twofold. Like, it was so atmospheric and magical that I loved it, but I couldn't decide if it was a work of genius or absolute madness. Like, she was so detailed, and I felt like there were so many important plot things that were so buried that it was really hard to be able to catch them all, like to be able to put everything together.
Yes, I agree with what you're saying. I definitely think there was a disconnect between what was in her mind, the story that was developing in her mind, and her trying to bring it to us, to translate it. And Scrap Collector says it was almost like the movie Inception, where there are multiple realities. And I think
Cindy, that's very astute. Yeah, that is so true. I can totally see that. And honestly, so I read this twice. The first time I listened to the audiobook, and the second time I actually read the ebook. The first time with the audiobook, I really disliked the guy that read Zachary. There were multiple there were multiple actors in this production of it. And the rest of them were all pretty good, but I really disliked the guy that did Zachary. But there was so much of it that when he was reading it, I thought that like it was almost like I thought it was a problem with how he was reading it. And it wasn't until I read the book that I realized, no, it's just written like that. Like, it's like one giant run-on sentence. It was driving me insane. But when I went back when I went and read it the second time, I saw many more of the clues. But even so, I still don't think I caught all of them, because even reading it the second time through, I'm still like, wait, so is this how this happened? Or is this when so-and-so was going to do that? Is this like foreshadowing this? Or, like, I still didn't know for sure. And that's how we know the ending. So
yeah, definitely breadcrumbs along the way, but I don't know how important there were, so to speak, because we did get to that point anyway. So
right. Yeah, I kind of feel like maybe she was overestimating the intelligence of her readers, or at least this one,
or their attention, really, because sometimes I just want to read. Read the book so that I can pass time, especially if it's an audiobook. Just do this so that I can do something else and not be 100% there. And that's definitely not going to work for this book.
Well, and I think too, I read The Night Circus a long time ago, and I really enjoyed it. And I think my thinking with listening to it as an audiobook was that I was just ready to like immerse myself in this world, and I didn't think that I would necessarily have to pay that close of attention to it. Because you do, when you're listening to an audiobook, you're almost 9 times out of 10 doing something else.
Yes.
So it's not like you can just always very easily, you know, play it back all the time or bookmark something if you need to come back to it. I mean, you can, but it's not always the easiest thing to do.
But I feel like with Circus, it flowed better. Even though it did have some layers, I feel like it flowed better. Whereas this
agreed.
one, it's a world within a world within a world, and then the stories interconnect. But I was still left with a lot of questions. I don't know if we're mentioning things now, but like I was left with questions regarding.
No spoilers just yet.
Okay.
I'll give. We'll get into it a little more. This was just supposed to be like a first impression. Okay. So we'll get into that a little bit deeper. Shortly.
Constantly going back 15 seconds.
Yeah. Yes. You're like, wait, what do they say? Back it up. Okay. So when they go down for the first time, they have to take an entrance test with the dice and the drink. So what, just for funsies, what do you think your dice roll would show?
I don't know. I don't think it would be one thing. I think it'd be a mixture of things. And again, with all the details that she gave, I don't even remember all the choices. There were 6 choices.
Yeah, so there was the bee, the key, a feather, a heart, a sword, and a crown. And the crown kind of, I thought, like symbolized change. The heart was to kind of, I don't want to get into that because I don't feel like I'll get into spoilers.
That would be a spoiler. But I change and development, like moving forward.
I think you would get a crown, and I think you would get a bee, and I think you would get, I don't know what the feather is supposed to be, but I'm going to give you 2 feathers just for fun, and a heart. Is that all of them? Did I get them all? 1, 2, 3. Well,
hi.
And what do you think your drink would taste like? I felt like the drinks tended to be whatever they found to be very soothing and kind of almost like personality trait too.
Yes. Mine would definitely have a hint of coffee. Like sweet coffee. Mocha latte.
My drink would just be a latte. I like it. Okay. So we touched on this a little bit, like how, you know, stories is kind of the central theme of everything, whether it's, okay, can I just say I didn't like the video game aspect. I felt like that was just thrown in there, not really developed hardly at all.
Oh, I like that.
I mean, I get the connection, but it just, she kind of just dropped it in and didn't really do a whole lot with it, which is what kind of irked me about it.
I liked when Zachary went to the party and he said, I really wish this was a video game so that I know which character I'm supposed to go talk to. I'm looking at all these people here and I wish there was a light, an arrow on top of them so that I know I talk to this person. So I like this about it. And also I feel like the video game aspect goes with the world that he's creating, with what we talked about in the beginning about the book, all the layers. I feel like a video game is similar in that, especially when you're given all these choices and all the doors that you decide to open. Video game is really a good way to think about it, but maybe she should have made some more visual collections.
I just think she could have done more with it. I mean, the couple of references that she made with it, yes, I thought they were apt. But I just thought, like, for the majority of the time, I totally forgot that that's what he did. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. Which, again, it kind of takes me back to maybe a mistranslation of how she imagined it to how she put it in writing for her readers to connect to that. So there maybe some sort of disconnect there.
Maybe, yeah, you might be right. But I do like Cindy's description of calling it kind of like Inception. Although I just felt like I really needed my token to come. Like, I'm like I don't even know what's going on in this book most of the time. Like, I don't even know. But I will say that the world building that she did, you know, with her is always top notch. I think that that's the one thing you can say about Erin Morgenstern is she can really immerse you in a world and just the atmosphere of a place. And like the way she described how the stories were, you know, like written on everything, even inscribed on leaves or in wisps of smoke or whatever.
Yes.
And how she illustrated that stories aren't just in books, you know, like they're everything and they're all around us and everything has a story. So I thought that was really cool. Like the paintings, the dollhouse, and how like the story can change and add elements to it or take them away. Like with the dollhouse was kind of intriguing. Although I have to say, like, the dollhouse thing kind of creeped me out on one level because then I started, and I think that was because the first time I read this book, it was in October and it was like right around Halloween time. And I'm like envisioning like the dolls all like coming to life and like creeping me out. Like, I don't know. My imagination was getting the best of me. I give up.
Next time you want to come back, do it in the summer.
Yeah.
Come back to reading the book. Do it.
I thought that one of the questions in the beginning of the book that Kat asks her J-term gathering was, what makes a story compelling? And the variety of different answers, you know, some gave answers that are, you know, mystery or character growth or romance. But one person answers meaning, going on to say that the reader is able to relate to the story to find some subjective meaning or not. And I thought that that was the crux of it, really. And that's not just for relating to a story, but if you think about how like we're all essentially walking, talking stories, how we relate to those stories in the form of other people can kind of be very, it's deep, man, it's deep.
Collector says, I could use a house that sent up food, any food you want. I definitely envy that kitchen.
Same. I mean, if I don't have to cook and I can just eat all the sweets and things, like, can I just, let me get another one of those. And then, yeah, you don't have to do the dishes either. It's great. Sounds like a good gig to me. All right. What do you personally think makes a story compelling, Brikena?
Well, I definitely want to have an ending. But there is not just one thing. I mean, obviously, are you telling me I'm predictable? I definitely think that relating to characters is important because it just captures you more it pulls you into the story better. But you do want to see character development. You do want to see the story moving somewhere, hopefully better. There's not like one right or wrong question for these answers. Right. I feel like
no, it's totally subjective.
Yeah, I feel like the collective answer on all of them just it makes the best story. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it helps it move along.
And the thing is like it might be subjective, not just by the person, but by that person's mood. Like exactly. I can find a book compelling yesterday that I find absolutely boring today. You know what I'm saying? It just depends sometimes on what kind of mood I'm in and what kind of book I'm looking for. So, yeah, I think it just depends on a lot of different things. I just thought that was a very interesting kind of introduction into the book itself, was that she kind of started off with that, and I thought that was kind of cool. All right, so at this... Sorry?
Scrap Collector says it was like the Jetsons, and she likes a little more full circle.
Yeah, I definitely like things to be a little more resolved. I don't mind a little bit of like open-endedness, but generally speaking, I like a good resolution. And it doesn't even always have to be a happy resolution. I just want some kind of closure. Like, give me something. Okay, so I think we can go ahead, and at this point, I'm going to say, let's jump into spoiler territory. So if you have not read the book and you don't want the book ruined, now is the time to jump off. But before you go, I put in my stories.
But please don't go.
Yeah, just wait. But like I put in my stories, I'm undecided on whether or not I think we should have a December book club. The date for it would fall on December 28th, which is pretty much smack dab between Christmas and New Year's, which I thought might be okay, but I also know that it's a busy time of year. And I really want people's opinion on whether or not they think they would really like to worry about getting a book read to be able to discuss it during that time. So there's a story poll or a poll in my stories that I posted earlier this afternoon. So if you guys get a chance to go ahead and, obviously you can't do it while we're live right now, but a little bit later, go check that out and vote on that, whether you want to see a December meeting or not. Regardless, we're still going to have the January one as scheduled, which is at the end of January. But yeah, so let me know what you think about that. And depending on that, we'll see what the book announcement is going to be. So cool. So if there's anybody on here that has not read the book, go ahead and jump off and make sure you read the book and then come back and catch the rest of the conversation on the replay, because we are about to get into spoilers. Okay, before we do that, why don't you see, are there any comments we need to catch up on?
No.
Okay,
Sarah
good.
Joined. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. Okay. Well, then let's go ahead. So the whole concept, like Cindy was saying, is it's like kind of like Inception. It's all nested stories. It's a story within a story within a story within a story. And they kept talking about, like, even on my second read, of the book, I noticed like there was even one of the little the Russian nesting dolls that he plays with. Did you catch that? And I was like, well, that's a little interesting. Like, I didn't catch that the first time through. So lots of, like, she's, definitely honing in on that whole nested story concept multiple times, like hitting us over the head with it, I felt like. But I have to say, I want to know what your favorite story within a story was. So, like, there were all the short stories.
I definitely liked the story of Simon and Eleanor. I really liked how they met. I really liked the fact that they were in different timelines. I liked and the magical aspect of them having a child together that was not their child. It was, just that by itself I liked, but in the entirety of the book, that was a little bit confusing too, because we needed Eleanor to say that Mirabelle was not her daughter, to be like, oh, wait a minute. Scrap collector, sadly in different timelines. Yes, very sad. But since we didn't have a clear ending, I like to believe that they got together again.
They were reunited towards the end, weren't they? Because I mean, they were all out in the Starless Sea.
That's how I interpreted that. Yes, that they it. Yeah,
I hope so too. It's nice to think that somebody should get their happy ending.
Yes.
My favorite was the Inn at the Edge of the World, or possibly the Key Collector. I don't know why, but they both just really struck my fancy. Like, I liked the inn where it was the moon and the innkeeper.
But because
I liked the
in that story, I do like the fact that the sun and the moon just get together for chit chats and figure out what's happening. Let's keep tabs on all the people in this world and see what's happening.
Right.
I did like that aspect of it.
I liked the romance of it. I thought it was really sweet, and it was uncomplicated for the most part. And
because they both, I mean, she did allude to the fact that the moon cannot just be tied to one person, but I guess they both understood their limitations. He gave her, he allowed her to go away and do what she needed to do, and she trusted him with the box. So they did make, with all the limitations they had, they did make a pretty good couple.
Yeah, they made it work. I liked that too. And I like that he, he didn't feel the need to ask too many questions or,
Yes, yes. I guess when you're that lonely, you accept whatever you've been given.
I do think that it would be hard to be away from her for so long, like so long a period of time. You only get like 3 days a month or whatever.
I feel like he understood that whatever she was doing was important. So he just allowed
her do her thing.
She wasn't asking for permission, but he let her do what she needed to do. And whenever she had free time, he took that.
Yeah, I liked that. I also liked the key collector. There was just something so sweet and giving about the guy. And I could just and something about all of these keys being everywhere just really struck my fanciful side.
Yes, but then he just drops off the face of the earth. What happens to his neighbors? What happens when they go looking for him? Like all these questions, this mystery, with his
well, that could be said for anybody that goes into the door to the harbor. Yes. I feel like so yes. I didn't question that part too much. Like that wasn't part of my questions unanswered. I just kind of accepted that for what it was. But I would have liked to have known what happened to him once he got down there, or if he was gonna I would have been. I am curious to know how that story fit in with everything else. Like who was the woman in that? You know what I'm saying? Like who?
And also when they were researching Simon's origins, his mother, they found a lot of things about his mother, but again, she disappeared without a trace. I'm guessing she did go to the harbor, but what happened to her after she got there? There was no closure, so to speak, either. So
I do think that she might have been the key collector, the woman in that story. That's who I think was the woman in that story, was Simon, Simon's mom. Simon's mom,
okay.
But then I had another thought that I thought potentially Simon's mom, and this could be, they're not necessarily separate things, but I also thought that maybe she was an earlier incarnation of Fate.
Mirabel?
Yeah. So confusing.
That would have been very weird if that was the case, because Simon technically is Mirabel's father, so that would have really been a recycling of characters.
Yeah, agreed. But also not outside the realm of possibility.
I've forgotten who the female pirate captain was. That was
Eleanor, or Lenore, as she wanted to be called, or the bunny.
The bunny
girl. Yeah.
Which, with her being the bunny and all the mazes, it kind of reminded me of Alice in Wonderland just a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot of allusion to Alice in Wonderland in this entire book. I mean, from the drink me reference at the entrance exam to the following, she's a bunny basically in a subterranean labyrinth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in this fanciful world. There's a lot of Lewis Carroll references.
In that elevator, I never thought that just dumping the drink would have been, it just never occurred. No, it never occurred to me that would have been a choice. I mean, she does say that if that what you end up doing, you're not going to stay there for too long. But it just never would have occurred to me to just dump it in the other corner.
I'm gonna drink this. I don't know who poured it.
Yeah.
It might have a roofie in it, but I'm gonna do it. Okay. So kind of touching.
We came this far.
Right? I think I touched on this part already. One of my notes here says, I think Simon's mom, Jocelyn Keating, was an earlier incarnation of 𝗵𝗀.
Okay.
And I honestly think that his father was the keeper. And that's why there was no record of the father. Boom. Now I just blew your mind, didn't I?
You did. You did. That would make sense, actually. That would make sense because they got back together in this other lifetime too.
Mm-hmm. They find each other every time. She pulls herself together and they find each other, and he loses her every single time over and over again. So we know that. Yes,
that makes sense. I did not make that connection.
Now we don't know really what happens to Jocelyn and how she dies unless she's the one that set the fire. Was she the one that set the fire? I think she was, now that I'm thinking back on it.
I don't know that. That was one of the parts that's like, okay, let's just get to the real story for me. Like, okay,
I know, but see, this is like that was something I picked up on my second read. I'm like, there's so much, even after reading it 2 times, that I have so many questions about. But yeah, so that was kind of, I think that the guy, you know, in the Star Merchant story, and they're sitting at the bar and they're talking to he's talking to the traveler. I think the traveler was the keeper.
Yes.
Or time.
Okay. Yes. That's time. Yeah. That's what I thought too.
And it took me all the way to the end of the second book, or the second read, to realize that the entire story and all of the stories contained within this harbor is the sculpture that the sculptor made to hide Fate's heart.
Yes.
That took me a really long time to figure out. I don't know why, but it did. It might have been more obvious for others, but it was not for me. So,
I did not understand how the moon was given the box to safekeeping, and I don't understand what made the innkeeper give the box away so easily. Like, I don't know if, or I guess
there was a clue. The moon had told the innkeeper to be on the lookout for somebody with a sword and something like.
Okay.
Yeah, so she gave him a clue to be on the lookout for, and so as soon as he saw him, he's like, "You're who I'm waiting for. Here's your box." Okay. And I think that the moon had the box because she made the deal with time.
Yes.
For the innkeeper, and so this was part of that deal, is her safekeeping the heart, and obviously the sculptor was Fate. Was 𝗵𝗀.
Yes.
And so, or an earlier incarnation. So it all just kind of circles back and circles in on itself. And it got really confusing. And a lot of it I did not pick up until I read it the second time. I mean, tell me I'm not alone in this. Like, I don't
know. To tell me more about Allegra, actually.
Yeah, I think she was a really interesting character.
She was. I don't know what turned her off, because I would like a world where I can just read endless stories, pick up a book here and there, and I don't think there's anything wrong with sharing it, but she was very adamant about closing the doors, not letting other people come in. She lost an eye to protect that world, but yet not enough. Or I guess maybe that's what it was. It was some sort of fanaticism that she did not want to share with anybody else. She wanted to keep it just the way it was.
So she was an acolyte.
She was.
She was. And she, not all, like the book mentioned how acolytes don't always give up their tongue and their voice. Sometimes they give up other things. And in her case, she gave up her eye, which gave her, and I think with her, she really wanted, like, she left during its heyday, you know, like people were still coming, people were still having parties. The whole place was like this really happening place, you know, and she saw the ending. And I think that she just maybe misinterpreted what caused it.
That's the
and
thing.
didn't understand
your fortune beforehand. You make it happen instead of letting it happen the way it's supposed to.
Right. And I don't think she understood either, you know, the whole role that the ending of it had in the long-term scheme of things. And so she was trying to preserve what she thought what she knew. So she starts closing off doors, thinking that it's too many people coming. I think that's why she started doing it. Misguided, but from a good place. But yeah, she was ruthless though. I mean, you gotta think too. I mean, she basically raised Mirabelle. You know, she's the one that taught her to paint. She also basically raised Eleanor.
Eleanor, yes.
Both of them.
Yes, both of them. I feel like Mirabelle was also kind of, Eleanor too, kind of abandoned. Like they were just, because Eleanor was the girl that opens the door in the forest, and
she's the girl that fell down the rabbit hole.
Yes. And
I call her Alice.
Like your
like my camper.
Gosh. These words.
Yeah, I have a camper, a pop-up camper named Alice, for those watching that didn't realize that that's what she's talking about. But yeah, I think that, you know, like, I felt really sad for Eleanor because I felt like all she wanted to do was to be seen and feel loved, and pretty much everybody just ignored her, with the exception of the painter, you know.
Yes.
So, and I think too, I thought it was really touching how at the end, when they are kind of burying her body at sea, as it were, Dorian is, you know, like, he's conflicted. Like, on the one hand, he's really glad she's dead because that means she's not trying to kill him anymore. But on the other hand, she saved him. You know, in his backstory, she was the one that saved him and brought him up and gave him a purpose, and, you know, misguided that it was. So yeah.
But also the story, because there's Zachary always asks himself, what would have happened if I had opened that door when I was young? And maybe it's a good thing he did not, because he would have kind of been neglected, so to speak, just like Eleanor did, just, you know, trying to figure out who's going to raise him, and just try to find a person that would have given their time and their guidance to raise him.
I'm not so sure that's the case. I think I disagree with that. And the reason being is I got the vibe from Eleanor that she was either an orphan or not well looked after already. And for her, escaping to this place was no hardship.
She definitely loved that place, but maybe it would not have been the same for Zachary, is what I'm saying.
But Zachary had a very firm hold on the above ground because of his mom.
Yes, I would love to meet his mom.
Right. But I think that he would have been one that would go down and visit, and then, you know, come back and forth kind of a thing. And I think that if he had gone earlier, he would have been able to have the experience of it more in its heyday than what he got of it right at the end. Like, he would have gotten to experience more of it as it was, Because, you know, there was always like this lingering sense of disappointment that he had about not getting to see it like that. And so I think that's what he missed out on.
And that's why he got to live those parties just for a little bit, but like he got to see that.
Like as a ghost.
As a ghost.
Yeah.
But he got to see what he missed out on had he opened the door at that.
Right. Let me see. There was something else I definitely wanted to get to. Hang on. Where was it? How do you think, you know, the common greeting to seeking with the response of to finding? Yeah. How do you think that fits in with the overall theme?
I think it fits in very well. She does have these stories that are interconnected, and there's always a purpose for all the stories that she's telling. It did remind me of the 1001 Nights. It's like, you know, a little bit, and then you want to know more, and then you want to know how it connects to this other piece. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, but all these puzzles can stand on their own very well as well. It does give it a sense of purpose, because you're not just roaming around, but you're seeking, and then you get an ending. You find the common theme of ending.
Whether you're seeking a story or an escape or information or knowledge or just another person, even. I think that, I think that it fit in, it encompassed everything very well.
It did. And it did not surprise me that afterwards, when I read a little bit about the author, to see the world she built, because she does mention that her mom was a librarian. So she's had this connection with books fed to her, so to speak, since she was a little girl. So it's definitely nourished her imagination, and she's able to build all these worlds that we've seen with both books.
Yes, I agree. Let's see. I think one of the things that made everything so difficult to discern what was purposeful and you know, like trying to grasp everything that was going on is that the story is so steeped in metaphor. Like
it is.
It's metaphor within metaphor within metaphor. It's nested metaphor. It's essentially, you know, I mean,
it's certainly a theme.
It definitely is. And I found a really hard time keeping up with stuff at times. And like, I found it difficult to keep track of what were the important story threads and what weren't. And I felt like I enjoy metaphors, the use of metaphor in a story, but I think maybe this was a little too much.
It was very heavy. It was heavy.
So steeped in it. And it was such a long book.
It was.
There was, I will say, if you are a book lover, this is definitely a book lover, or you know, a book for book lovers, because of all of the allusion to so many other works of literature, including her own Night Circus one. Did you catch the reference to the Night Circus?
No.
On page 354, in case you're wondering, I wrote it down. Yeah, she's talking about like two magicians running around in London.
Oh my God.
Hilarious. Yeah.
No.
So I did enjoy kind of like, you know, like I always enjoyed like the guessing game, like, ooh, that's who that is. Ooh, that's what this is. You know, like I always enjoy that kind of stuff. It's kind of like being like included on the inside joke kind of a thing. But yeah. Okay, so one of the central tenets of this book is that we are our own stories. And if one decision can have life-altering effects, how much are we really in control of our own lives, and how much is fate?
Scrap Collector is Jen. She says, if you've read Night Circus, which did you like better? I liked
Night Circus better.
I don't know if it's my phone or distance. I liked Night Circus better. Not that I did not. Night Circus was a better love story, a better world building with all the characters and the magic that she brought. So if I had to pick, I'd say Night Circus.
Agreed.
Do you agree?
I think the world building in both was, both of them had immeasurably high quality world building. But I felt like the flow of the story, it wasn't as confusing to read the Night Circus. I only had to read the Night Circus once. Like, I mean, not that I wouldn't enjoy a reread of it, but I didn't have to reread it just to get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I definitely have to say, for that reason, the Night Circus is definitely her better story. I do know she's working on another book right now, though, because I was looking at that on her website before tonight to see kind of, I had entertained the idea of maybe seeing if she would come and sit in on it. But yeah, she's not doing any appearances right now. But I thought that was...
At least you didn't wait 10 years this time around.
Right. 3. Yeah. It was like 8 years between them. So yeah, hopefully this one doesn't take that long to get out.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. But no, I really do think that, like, there's a lot of points in this book that are kind of like can make you like really reflect rather deeply on things. And I think that, you know, just it's kind of like, do you believe in fate or choice? And like, there was so much of that towards the end. Can I just say that Mirabelle, or Fate, or whatever you want to call her, the story sculptor or whatever, really kind of pissed me off at the end.
Yes.
Because she got so angry at Zachary, and I felt like it was really unjustified.
I feel like her sole purpose was to find a way to reunite with Fate, and maybe she has lost a little bit of patience, because like the timekeeper says, every time she says, I figured it out, and every time we get separated to be reunited again. So maybe she's just like, not that it was right, but maybe she just
took her frustration out on him.
Yeah, her patience wore thin, and she just, this time she really wanted to make it happen, which she does. They figure out a way to get together. I didn't understand why they needed to involve Kat. I don't know where Kat went, because I feel like with what Zachary's, I want to call him Zach, but in the book it says Zachary, never Zach.
Zachary Ezra Rollins. They always give his whole name.
Yes. But Mrs. Rollins assures Kat that Zachary is going to come back, even though he's been gone for 2 years. And he's going to come back with someone, like he's going to, with Dorian. We know she means Dorian. They're going to come back together. But so why does Kat need to see for herself where Zachary has been? Why?
I think she's in the whole wants to believe but can't without seeing kind of a thing. I think that was like her purpose in it all, and I think that's why she got a door, is because she wanted to see. She was seeking, and so they were helping her. And you know what I'm saying?
But I want to know that she's able to come back without going through all the adventures that the others went. Like, I don't want her to
get lost in time.
To get lost, to see those mirages, to find a sword and hurt someone she loves. All those. Right. She doesn't need to jump through all those hoops to just experience the harbor.
Yeah. You know what, honestly, I didn't understand? And this is kind of a big question. Actually, let me see if I wrote it down so I can actually, I write things down better than I can actually just wing them. Why Zachary? I never understood what was so like.
So the way I understood it is, I feel like everybody gets that initial test. She kind of explained it a little bit because Dorian also reads a story and says, "Hey, that was me in that book." When he was in a bookstore and this woman approaches him to
Right.
ask to hold on to the book. So I feel like everybody that is a potential candidate is given this initial test, and then
But he wasn't. He ended up being a keeper. He wasn't a guardian.
there's some sort of test that he passed. And maybe she just forgot to put that part there,
but see, that's why it got me, is because like she went into the detail of pointing out like the different paths,
yes,
and how you get those paths and what's involved in them. And from what she described of Zachary, his path was a keeper.
yes.
So it's curious that he would get a guardian test. So that's, I come back to my questions, like, why him? And the other thing I don't understand is why she was so harsh. Like, honestly, I felt like she got mad at him at the end because he wanted to know what was going to happen to him. Like, I died so you can get your happy ending. That was the point of this. Like, I felt like, and then she gets mad because you know, he's asking her pretty much point blank, and she's just not saying anything. And she certainly could have. It wasn't going to change anything for him.
No, because done is done. But
I guess it comes down to Dorian's choice and whether or not Dorian would have actually done it.
She did, yes. Even for her to insist to go and help Dorian, she didn't do it to help Dorian or to help Zachary because out of the goodness of her heart. This was the goal that she had in mind. She wanted to find a way to end the cycle with her rebirth and her finding the keeper again and again. That was her end goal, and she made it happen.
Yeah.
So,
kind of ruthlessly. I mean, I kind of admire it.
I guess if you live so many times, you
become inured to it.
You do. You
lose a little of your humanity, I think. I think that's what got me, is the loss of humanity. But I guess then you have to remember that she's not human. So.
But at least, again, she wasn't as bad as Allegra. So.
True. And Allegra was human.
She was.
So Zachary's family motto. Oh my gosh, we've already gone over. We're just kind of keep going. I don't know. We can keep going if anybody wants to keep going. I get it. Why not?
There's
for fun
people that are
well, and that's not always accurate, because sometimes I get comments from people that don't show up in that. Like, I don't know. It's not always accurate. I don't know why. But Zachary's family motto: know thyself and learn to suffer. What? like, where did that come from? Why? What's the point of including it? I mean, seriously.
It might have some, I didn't understand that either, but I'm thinking it might have something with his mom, with her gift of seeing where you're headed and not being able to change that. Just, this is what's written for you. This is what you're going to go through, which again is one of those
fate.
It's fate. And it's not like a choice. She doesn't know. She knows the choice you make. Like, she sees it from a different aspect, because we were talking earlier about, is it a choice or someone that you make or someone else makes for you? And she kind of comes from a different point of view in that story where she just sees what's going to happen. She won't tell you what to do or what not to do. She just has that information for herself and shares just enough to not make you fall into any traps like Allegra did. So it might come from that. Just know yourself, and then this is what's carved for you. Just be strong enough to go through it, and then we're gonna see each other again
I
after.
just feel like for a writer that's so good with words, she couldn't have come up with something a little like, I don't know. Just struck me as weird. But let's see. Oh, I think so we talked like his mom kept referring to like moments with meaning and stuff. And I kind of thought that was almost like layering on too much, but there were definitely a lot of them. And I can almost like I had this very vivid mental picture in my head in the scene when the antechamber collapses and Zachary realizes you know, that moment where he's like flashing back to Mirabel telling him about when Dorian tried to kill her and it didn't work. And
Yes.
he realizes it doesn't mean that Dorian failed in his attempt. It means he succeeded and it didn't work. Like, yeah. And he realizes, oh, and then when the keeper, and that's like 5 minutes later, sees Mirabel standing there with the cat, like, okay, you didn't die this time. It is different. Let me kiss you. Mwah, mwah,
mwah. And also that painting that Allegra had done of Dorian and Zachary. It's very crazy, but they did not find another time. The keeper did not find another time to show it to him, just as everything's collapsing. Let's shove some more information down your throat, Zachary, and then you deal with it as you will. It was a little too much.
Yeah.
All at once for poor Zachary.
Yeah, I know. Poor dude. He really got the raw end of that one. So, okay, here's something else I didn't understand. A pretty big question that I was left with after finishing this book was what's with the bees? What's the importance of the bees? In the story about the story sculptor, you know, we're told that she trained the bees to build honeycombs on intricate frames to make cities and inhabitants so that they can build the harbors. Obviously, that's their purpose.
They also ran the kitchen.
Yes, but why did the story have to go down to meet the bees?
I think the way I understood it was an indication that this was it. It kind of gave an ending to Mirabel's life cycles. The way I understood it, I might be wrong, but that's how I interpreted that.
I don't know. I still don't understand why that involved taking the story to the bees. Like how you make that jump.
Because the bees were kind of like the building block for everything. So now that everything is ending,
so maybe they knew that they had to build the new harbor.
Yes, because Cat goes up at a new harbor, so they have to make it differently or from scratch again.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes some sense. I also didn't understand how the Owl King goes from being foe, and the stars go from being foes at the beginning, tearing fate apart and separating her from time, and then relishing in it, like they were gleeful about it, to being friends at the end. Like,
I think she mentions in one of the stories that they regret what they did.
I must have missed that on both reads.
I don't know how that came about, but they found out that what they did was not, first of all, the fact that they couldn't keep them separated, and also time making those mistakes because of distraction, and then they found each other again, so they were like, hey, I guess we can't. So just let it go. But I do like the power that the owl that ate the eyes got. It's a little creepy, but yeah, it's like, okay, you get to eat the eyes, and now you see everything.
I didn't really understand the significance either in the girl that went to go live with the Owl King.
I didn't either. I kind of got the sword a little bit, but
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
I didn't understand the other one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one either. And her mother, like, her husband did not believe the fact that she had been a princess. He laughed at when she mentioned it, and then he disappears, and then she raises this child that this was her fate. She was supposed to go live with the Owl King, and then I don't know what.
But why? Right.
Yeah,
Like, what's
yeah,
the
I don't know
significance?
why this was included, because I didn't make connection to anything else.
Unless she was another incarnation of fate, and that's how they kind of worked things out, rather.
But would they have been BFFs to live together if that was the Owl King and fate?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I
And
don't
then
get
what
it.
timekeeper at that time, because they always found each other.
That's true. Yeah, so you're right. Because they have always, like, she says it in every life, they meet back up.
They do.
I don't know. That one didn't make sense to me. Okay, can I ask another stupid question? And maybe this is just me being really obtuse. But throughout the book, they say how the pirate and the girl are a metaphor.
Yes.
A metaphor. What are they a metaphor for? Like, are they supposed to be like like, is it so obvious that she's just blatantly telling us they're a metaphor for fate and time? Or is it something else entirely? Like, I wasn't really sure.
I think they do. We might need to go back again for a reread.
I'm not going back to this book.
No,
I'm not going to reread it a third time.
Just to Google. But towards the end, they do confirm that it was fate and time. But they also say that it stood for something else as well. So it was.
That's what I didn't get, though.
Like, no, what? I didn't either. But she, like I said, she does try to bring to us what's happening in her mind.
End of my row, end of my skein. I got so close. I got more. It's all good.
I said, I don't think the translation worked this time between the story that she built in her mind and what she was able to put into words for her readers.
Right, or maybe like she had the string and then forgot to pull it or something. I don't know.
Or just the transition wasn't between idea and words was not 100% there.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I wasn't the only one completely confused by that then. My opinion on this book is honestly, I think I ended up giving this a solid, like, I think I gave it 3 stars on my review on the blog.
I had to go back and read it. I think it's kind of justified.
My biggest problem was you have to read it at least twice to really grasp the majority of what's going on in this story. And with as long as this book is, it's just not one that makes you want to read it again. You know, I just felt like I had a hard time getting through it the second time. And I mean, while the world building made me want to like give it 5 stars, and the magic and the atmosphere, but then like all the questions that are none too small of a question, they're kind of big questions that we're left with at the end. And the fact that I had to reread it just to even get that far, I wanted to give it a 2 for that, so I split the difference and I went 3. I don't know.
I did like the fact that she built the world building. I like the fact that she made a couple of Harry Potter references with the scarf knitting cat. I don't know, because Zachary was always wondering if Rhyme still had her tongue, and we find out that she did have her tongue, even though she would she vowed
not to speak.
Yes, but what did she give up if she still had her tongue? We don't know that.
She gave up her voice to, like, she said that she gave up speaking.
Okay, without actually losing the tongue. The part where she describes the tongue being cut is a little too vivid for
She
me.
did not skimp from detail on
She did
certain
not.
gruesome facts, like the eye eating and the tongue cutting and the flesh burning and like the
She did
bee.
not. The way she described it, it made you feel like you were there. And that was a little too much. But I did like the whole possibility of a different fantasy world that connects with reality. The fact that you're always being watched. This might be a test. Kind of like we tell our we here act like everybody's watching, just don't. So the same thing here with Dorian. Like, he was given a test, he passed it, someone was watching him, and then it happened with a lot of other people. And it's the Alice in Wonderland, the library that she was describing, it did remind me of the ancient library in Alexandria and how all those books were lost.
Right.
With
that was actually in the blurb too.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. In the blurb, like there was a comment about like there's always those who would like to watch Alexandria burn. That was part of the.
I did not
What do you call
read
it?
that.
The synopsis. Yeah.
It did remind me of that. It reminded me of another book by, I forget the name, but it's by a Latin American writer where kind of like Allegra, like she thought this, where they were told that her son was going to be killed. If he didn't make it home by noon, then he was going to be killed. And it misinterprets what she reads, and she orders the gates of the house to be closed. And it's her son coming after the gates were closed, and she says, absolutely no opening, because it might be who wants to kill my son. And they end up killing him at the front gates because she decided she was going to close the doors beforehand. Same thing with Dorian killing Zachary. Like, he's mistakenly, he thought it was a mirage, and then he ends up killing him for real. He thought he would be able to tell the real Dorian. Yeah, in all the images that he sees, and he's not able to, but at least he finds a way to bring him back and undo what he did. I do like the fact that his mom got some sort of solace from the gift that she has from seeing the future. She knows that he's coming back, so she's not, obviously she's worried, but not too worried about it. She's able to also tell Kat that, hey, you're not, don't worry about it because it's not that bad.
Right.
So she kind of gives her a peace of mind, gives her some clues about where to go, how to move on with other choices that she makes. So gives her some sort of encouragement. So I did like that. I like the bringing together of the two worlds, fantasy and everyday life.
Well, I think that kind of goes back to just her skill as the world builder, that she's just really good at that, I think, and just creating that atmosphere and tying everything together. I think she does a fantastic job with that, for sure.
She does.
Okay. Well, cool. I think it might be time to sign off. We've gone over so much, like 25 minutes over. Yeah. But it was like, there really just was so much with this book to talk about, honestly.
It was a long book. It was a long book.
It was a very long book, for sure. Okay, so make sure people to vote on whether or not we should have our December meeting. If we have our December meeting, I think the book is going to be The Midnight Library. But if we don't have the December meeting, then that's probably going to be our February book, because I've already got January figured out. So stay tuned. The best way to make sure that you know what book is being read and when's the next meeting, I keep that information in my profile. whether you're just looking at my Instagram profile on the main page there, or if you click the link and there's a section on Book Swips and Sips Book Club, I've got it there. And then I will always have it in the caption of the most recent replay. So once I figure that out, I will put it in this caption. The other surefire way is to sign up for my newsletter, and make sure you select Book Swips and Sips for your for one of your interests. That way you'll get those notifications. So, all right, Brikena, thanks so much for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How's that scarf looking? Fluffy.
Not bad. It might end up being a Barbie blanket. I don't know.
Too soon to tell. All right, cool. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining in. And I guess we will catch you on the next book club, whenever that ends up being.
Thanks.
So have a good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Brikena.
Thank you.
Bye.